Really well.
Yeah, she's got a doll. She used to do that
They
when
were
she
laying on
was
top of each other for a while.
about
Like, I
a year
don't
and a
know
half.
why.
She would change that.
They're all scratched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know some next to the
She's
wow, they are like,
10.
do I have to give names? That's correct.
And she has conversation.
I can
I mean,
just
conversation.
pause it.
And then Barb would
We are now live.
It's 1 o'clock and I'll call today's meeting to order. I'll first start with our acknowledgement of Indigenous peoples. The town of Rocky Mountain House wishes to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for many Indigenous peoples, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Saulteaux, Stoney, and Métis. Okay, we have an agenda in front of us. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda? Okay, just motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Brown. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to number 5, adoption of the previous minutes. Everybody good with those minutes? Councilor Alderson?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt the previous minutes.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. So we'll move on to number 8, new business. We have the RFD for the Fortis franchise fee. I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Quinlan.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. The first briefing note is the annual Fortis franchise fees. Excuse me, they send these out every year, and you have the option of selecting what franchise fee rate you want to charge. We've been at 12% for a number of years. There are numerous attachments in the back that if you want to read and get more details, but basically in 2020 the transmission forecast was 4.9 million, and they're estimating that it's going to go up in 2021 to 5.059 million. That will provide $607,000 in franchise fees to the town, which is an additional $9,500. So the increase is due to extra consumption of electricity. The cost, there is a schedule in the back that shows the cost per consumer. It would, using an average of 640 kilowatts per month, would be $7.76 per month, or $93 per year. A 1% increase, if you wanted to look at that, would increase the monthly rate from $7.76 to $8.97 and generate an extra $50,000. And I did include, there was a listing of all the municipalities that they're on their rider. And basically, there's 166 municipalities. There's 6, including Rocky Mountain House, that charge 12%. There's 46 that have rates over 12, and the remainder are all under 12. And the 3 that we compare to every year is Edson, Drayton Valley, and Sylvan Lake, and they charge 4.75, 10, and 15. So very wide range in terms of our comparators, but just for information if you were wondering. So that's really the sum of it. If you have any questions or...
I feel that it should be like the ATCO fee, we just remain the same. What does everybody else think? Councilor Phillips?
I agree with that. We didn't touch the ATCO fee. I don't think we have any need to touch the Fortis fee as well.
Yeah. Anybody have any other discussion there? I was just going to ask, where does the franchise fee go? What account does it go into?
It's usually we try to transfer it to capital. Like it comes in through the general revenue account or department, and then we try to look at transferring it over to capital.
So, Your Worship, in our budget, part of the Fortis franchise fees goes to pay for the power of the street lights, and then the remainder goes to reserve.
Right, okay. Just a general reserve, or that's okay. I'm putting you on the spot now.
Actually, Your Worship, I think it's the environmental reserve.
Okay, good to know. Okay, Councilor Phillips?
There's no further discussion. I was going to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that council maintain the 2020 Fortis Alberta franchise fee at an existing rate of 12%.
All right, all in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 8.2, the Parkland Regional Library budget request. And I guess that's Ms. Quinlan again.
This usually comes in, excuse me, every year to councils. We did up a bit of a briefing note for it this year. Basically, I think they've done a great job in maintaining their per capita rate, which, given the economy, it's, I think, the right thing to do. So their requisition is coming in at $8.55 per capita. They've done, if you look at their budgets, and they give a very good explanation of the different changes, but there's very, very little change. They've adjusted a few things, but basically they've kept their budget at last year's amounts, which
That's good. That's good to know. Is it, Councillor Alderson?
Yeah, the board asked for 0% increase and they delivered on that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So it
Nothing's
wasn't,
changed.
okay. Wasn't a big discussion or what he was
I think it was, it was tight for them to move some things around, but they created 0% under the circumstances. So.
Good, thanks. Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions around that? Okay, seeing none. Council's wishes. Councilor Fraser?
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get down to the motion there, so I've got all the numbers. I would like to move that council approve the proposed budget presented by Parkland Regional Library with the 2021 per capita requisition of $8.55.
Great, thank you. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried, thank you. And 8.3 is the RFT for the amending bylaw for the Clean Energy Improvement Tax bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. Presenting basically what the amending bylaw is for is to make the change to the program administrator for the Clean Energy Improvement Program. I've included a copy of, pardon me, the amended bylaw showing the changes, and just clarifying in the beginning that it's for the tax program, removing EEA as the program administrator and inserting Municipal Climate Change Action Center as the new program administrator, which becomes effective, it's actually effective now, so October 1st was the date for the transition. The only changes again in the bylaw are referencing the program administrator change, with the exception of number 13 on the bylaw, where I just included and the municipality in terms of that all the program requirements need to be met by MCCAC as well as the municipality. So any requirements that we may have between once the agreements are signed, that would incorporate that into the new bylaw. So.
It's going to be really nice to just start working on this as opposed to just looking at the bylaw and, redoing.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully January, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's not it's in the hands now of MCCAC.
That's correct.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
We are waiting for some agreements, draft agreements to come our way, and hoping to be able to review those. So, the intent is to get going so we can have an open house for our contractors, pardon me, and our local residents, so they have more information on the program.
Yeah, we're going to have to ramp it up again because we kind of ramped it up and then everything kind of just went flat, and then we'll have to have a big raw again, raw. Good, okay. So we have 3 readings here. Does anybody have any questions on this? No? Okay. Looking for a motion. Councilor Brown?
Okay, make a motion that council give first reading to amending bylaw 2020/24 to amend Clean Energy Improvement Tax bylaw 2019/21B to acknowledge the change in program administrator from Energy Efficiency Alberta to Municipal Climate Change Action Center.
Okay. Okay, all in favor of that motion? That's carried. Councilor Fraser?
I'll move that council give second reading to amending bylaw 2020/24.
Okay. All in favor of that motion? Carried. Thanks. Councilor Phillips?
I'd like a motion that council give unanimous consent to move to third reading of amending bylaw 2020/24.
Okay, good, thank you. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Councillor Narang,
I'll move that council give third and final reading to the amending bylaw 2020/24.
all in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Worship.
So now we'll move on to 8.4, Habitat for Humanity.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Before you, in regards to our remaining 2 affordable housing units that we have in our possession, it's 4411 54th Street. In the picture, it's the gray house to the left is the one that they are interested in. We did sell a house to Habitat for Humanity in 2019. I think it was in September of 2019 for $33,000 as well. There's a family that moved in there as well last year. So they are requesting, if possible, purchase of this house in this year, as soon as possible, for them to put another family into 4411 54th Street. With organizational, I think in 2018 service level, we did talk about just the maintenance on these houses and that, and wanting to pass them on to another owner to look after. So there's an opportunity for the town to sell the second house. There is a third house remaining, and they are interested in that, but I think the tenant will be in there for another year until I think August of 2021. So I may be back in 2021 in regards to that last house on 54th Street. So there are some recommendations that I have presented to council. There's 4 of them. I do have a recommended one that we do accept the offer of $32,000 from the Habitat for Humanity for the purchase of 4411 54th Street to be used for a Habitat for Humanity program. We do have in a clause with our agreement that they keep it as a Habitat for Humanity for 10 years. So, okay.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Any questions?
No
Councillor
question.
Alderson?
Just a comment that personally I like the idea of having this go back to Habitat. It makes sense. Cost us 66, selling it for 33, but we're saving over $11,000 a year in maintaining that property. I'm glad for Habitat to have it back. I think this would be great. It's needed in the community. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and I echo that as well. The taxes also then, right? Are they included in that 11,000? Or,
Oh, no, we would get taxes.
yes, that's right. And I just think it's a great way to get another family into a home. Councillor Fraser?
And Habitat for Humanity, as a nonprofit, they have ability to leverage various grants, and they do this all the time. So the administration of the program and getting in touch with people who need the program, they're just better suited to administer that than we are.
Yeah, I agree. Councillor Alderson?
And just on top of that, I just don't think that town should really be in the business of home ownership and business ownership. So I think this is great. It's going back to where it should be, somebody else's hands.
Yeah. And a good nonprofit. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Alderson?
I make a motion the council accept an offer of $33,000 from Habitat for Humanity for the purchase of 4411 54th Street to be used for the Habitat for Humanity program.
Okay, awesome. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you. All right. So moving on to 8.5.
So sorry, Mayor, is it?
Yep, go ahead, yeah, sorry.
So I've asked Jeff Partling, our ADO, to join me today in regards to the economic development strategy project that we're working on. A little history is that we did receive a grant from CARES, Community and Regional Economic Support from the Alberta government for $23,500. We did budget in 2019, I believe, or 2020. I think it was $50,000 actually budgeted for a plan, because we were aiming for $100,000 for the project, but the grant was only $23,000, so we're matching it. There is a contribution from the Chamber of Commerce as well for in-kind that'll help us with the project. We have contracted MDB out of Calgary to help us with the project. They've done other projects in other communities similar along the strategic plan. Because of COVID, we're kind of doing things via the phone, via Zoom, and making contact with business owners, residents in the community as well as outside the community to help us with our strategic plan. I think Jeff has compiled a list of potential participants with our project, and I'll just let Jeff briefly talk about kind of the process that we're going to go through. There's a timeline included in the package. We're hoping to have it done by January of 2021, and whether this will affect our budget. We may budget in 2021 for some of the projects for next year. So I'll let Jeff you give a little brief history about the timeline.
Thanks, Steve. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I'm really excited that we're getting this off the ground. It's been on pause for a few months because of getting hit with COVID and the direction that the strategy may take. So with the project description that you may see in the package that we have added in with yours, the project charter. Project description speaks to the project will result in the development of economic development strategy and action plan for the town of Rocky Mountain House. The deliverables for this project are as follows. Startup, the project launch meetings with the project manager, which we've have started here last week. The background review, situational analysis, economic forecasts and local impacts and local market trends, commercial gap analysis, interviews with stakeholders and businesses, focus group with stakeholders, and a SOAR assessment. The SOAR assessment is basically your strengths, opportunities, aspirations, risks, and results with the project. And then we come to presenting it to Town Council in January, as Dean mentioned. Like I said, I'm pretty excited to get this going and getting this strategy to start off our new year in 2021. I think it's going to be a document that, a living document that will be able to hopefully move forward in some progressive, sustainable avenues.
So, Mayor and Council, we just wanted to bring it to your attention just in case you get inquiries when you're out on the street or people are calling you. And if you can, we have a list, but if you can think of, some people that may be interested or maybe beneficial for us to interview, please pass that on to our EDO, Jeff Hartling. And like I said, we just wanted to let you know what we're up to in regards to, you're not caught off guard when you're out, on the street or you have a call, you know what we're up to in regards to the economic development strategy.
And if I may add to the project, although we only got $23,500 and we have the matching dollars from our budget, in other communities that I did some research on, their strategy report cost near $100,000. With the beautiful world of Zoom now, we've saved pretty near $25,000 on that part of the project. So we're getting pretty near the same end product as these other communities got for $100,000 as we're going to get with near $50,000. And there's one component that we had in there initially was the labor report. Clearwater County did one here 8 months ago that they're prepared to share with us. It's all in the same market. So that's a big cost savings as well.
Nice.
So at the end of the day, we're going to get pretty near the same report document for almost half the price.
So how do you choose who you're going to interview?
How do we choose?
Yeah.
They've directed through other studies that they've done to reach out to strongly engaged community members, business people in various forms of fashions, and we started a list, and we'd be happy to share that with you later, and then you can add to it or take away or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, I would assume real estate agents would be on that list. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, professionals, you know, we've
Yeah.
got lawyers, accountants.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. Bankers? Yeah, okay. So the ideal goal of this is just to create a timeline, a go forward, or what?
Oh, sorry, I missed that last part.
The actual, like, the idea to this whole process is to have a document that you'll be able to look at and do what with.
Give us direction in regards to what direction, you know, what the community is aiming for. And of course, at the end of the day, council has, you know, if that's the direction we want to go into, they've got final say in regards to that direction. But we're just developing that document to move forward, you know.
So do you see this document and our land use bylaw as well, kind of working together, like taking a look at that and sort of marrying those two documents?
Yeah, they've got a copy of our draft as well as our MDP.
Okay.
As far as they're going to review that and make sure that, you know, that direction is, you know, not going to go in a direction that we can't, say, attain with our land use bylaw or MDP. So they've got a copy of our draft copy of that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious if you would take into account, like there was a couple social needs assessments that were done by FCSS as well, and when we're looking at economic needs, are we looking to see if they fill gaps as well, almost looking at those documents as well? You take those documents and it looks like we have an aging population in the whole region, so things that would actually, you know, bring in that would benefit that sort of population. I don't know.
I know we've sent them a lot of documents, so I'm glad you brought that up, Councilor Alderson. I think we missed that one, so I appreciate you saying, yeah, so we'll definitely, that is a definite asset to give to them in regards to what direction we should be aiming. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Awesome. Councillor Phillips and then Councillor Fraser.
I like the idea of this. You know, with council, we have our own strat plan on how we make the town move forward. With any division or department, there's always, the ship needs power, but the ship needs to point in the right direction or you're just going to go in circles. So I think this is a great endeavor, and I'm interested to see what the business community has to say that'll help enhance the area for us.
Councillor Fraser?
I was just going to add on to Councillor Alderson that I think FCSS also had a seniors needs assessment in addition to the broader social needs assessment that just was finished.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
That's exciting.
Okay. So this is just, so I just need a motion to accept this report as information. Councillor Alderson. Okay. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Now we'll move on to number 9, correspondence of action. 9.1, request regarding approved community grant from last year from McMahon. And who am I?
Thank you, Your Worship. I received an email from Dixie McLeod. She's with McMahon Youth Services. And she was just looking for an extension on their community grant that they received last year. Because they weren't able, with COVID, it's created some restrictions for them, and they just wanted to inquire as to the possibility for the extension.
So my one question with this is how long, like if community members aren't interested or they can't, how long should we hold this for? Granted for 1 more year or?
Yeah, Your Worship, that'd be the recommendation of administration, just one more
Right.
year.
And then just kind of find out, like, is it just COVID or are they just not interested?
Whether or not
members?
people are not interested.
Yeah.
I think that if we allowed for a 1-year extension, it would give them hopefully the opportunity with, you know, COVID in place and some of the regulations opening up a bit. You know, whether or not they would be able to get enough interest in the program to be able to run it, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, I just need a motion to, Councillor Alderson?
I'll make a motion that we grant McMahon, I guess, a 1-year extension on their community grant.
Okay? Got that, Renee?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thanks. And so we'll move on to 9.2, the Meadowview Estate Society and security concerns. And who am I turning that over to?
I can talk to it as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay.
So I received a call from representative of the Meadowview Senior Society, and they requested a meeting with some of our community peace officers and our CMP to address some of the concerns that they had regarding their little area there. The Meadowview Estate Society represents a group of, I believe they're duplexes, just kind of in the north part of Rocky. So I made arrangements for a meeting with our CMP, and Senior CPO Brandon Smales was there as well. I wasn't in the meeting, but when the meeting was completed, I received this information from the representative, the chair of their society, and she asked that I provide this letter to council.
Your Worship, there's 4 requests of council here, and I can probably address those for council. So, number 1 was set aside funding to implement more support staff with the RCMP. As council's aware, we worked with the RCMP on their 3-year financial plan. And for clerical staff, that was removed from the municipal plan and shifted over to the provincial plan. So that is provincial funding for that position now, and not municipal. So that's addressed. The Community Peace Officers Patrol, so our community peace officers are aware of the concern of the area and have increased their patrols, drive-bys. The third, increased camera surveillance in residential areas. Well, we don't provide that service of, cameras in different residential neighborhoods, but maybe encourage them to invest in their own security. Cameras. Set up a crime watch program, and that's typically community driven, or like Crime Watch or whatever it is. Generally, the community coming together and creating that group. It's not generally a municipal initiative.
Right. So should we just send a letter back explaining just exactly those comments? Okay, we could do that. That'd be great. Councillor Narang?
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's, in sending the letter back, if we can include some information, or if we have information on setting up a Crime Watch program, so they have a bit of guidance around that?
Your Worship, we definitely can.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's an organization, it's throughout Alberta.
Yeah.
So that information is available, so we can steer them in that direction.
And there's also Clearwater Crime Watch that they could probably contact
Yeah,
as
so
well.
just provide them with some resources so they're not feeling...
Yeah, for sure. Councillor Phillips?
Not having been in attendance with the meeting that was had with Staff Sergeant Dinsdale and our CPO, one of the things that was brought up at our last policing committee is some of the crimes, especially when you're talking sheds and garages and things like that, are more crimes of opportunity. The garage happens to be left open, or it's maybe a poor sight line or something like that. Just checking to see if any of that information was conveyed to them during that meeting, that some of this is a crime of opportunity because something's left open or doesn't have a light on it or something like that, that maybe that's information we can pass on to this community as well.
Yes.
Talked about that in the letter.
Yeah, it does. It says that they do have the SEPTED program, Brandon gave information. So just encouraging them to follow up with that. That's awesome.
Your Worship and Council, just so you're aware, there were arrangements made. I believe it was CPO Ward that went out to do the SEPTED program with the society. So.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I guess just a motion to send a letter back to this committee, the Meadowview Estate Society. Councillor Narang?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Just giving them direction.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have, is that, you got it there, Maureen?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, I just need a motion to accept correspondence for information, 10.1 to 10.11. As Councilor Phillips?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All in favor of that motion? It's carried. Moving on to number 11, there's my report. Does anybody have any questions? I just have a question for council. There is an opening on the Recycling Council of Alberta Board of Directors, and I've reached out to find out what that would entail, and they think about 6 meetings per year, and I'm just looking for council's support. I would be willing to run. I'm not going to be guaranteed a seat, but I would be willing to run for that position. I think it would be very beneficial for our area, so I'm just looking for support. If council would be interested in supporting my notion to run for the RCA board.
Do you need a resolution?
I do.
Okay, I'll make that resolution. Support Mayor's run for the RCA board.
And then I can talk garbage all I want to let you guys off the hook.
Trash talk.
Okay, all in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you very much. 11.2, councillor reports. We all had our AUMA in there. It was odd doing the AUMA virtual, but it worked. So, you know, I thought it was a good alternative.
Surprisingly well.
Yeah, I'm happy that they did go through with it. So, you just never know what the future may hold.
No, it's the first time they've done it.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better.
Absolutely.
It's needed.
That's right. Yeah, no, it was really good, and I thought the guest speakers were amazing. Peter Mansbridge was awesome, and I loved his comment about the feds and the province having all of the power, but the municipality has the responsibility to deliver. And I think everybody, that resounded with everybody. They were all, yeah, that's exactly true. So, anyways, does anybody have any questions for any of the councillor reports?
I just wanted to say what I sure missed the networking with the ministers and whatnot. I found that when you get to travel to a place and speak, like more impromptu, like the minister dialogue is great and you stand there and ask your question, but to be able to actually just approach and have a good conversation, I really missed that part of the AUMA. So it really highlighted the value of attending these things in person. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we totally missed out on all of that. So.
Yeah, that's a huge part of when we go to those events like FCM and AUMA and RMAs. Being able to make your, those relationships with the people that
Physically get in front of
Yeah.
ministers.
Yeah, I totally echo that. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll make a motion to accept all of the councillor reports as presented. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Thank you. 12.1, the action list.
It's all crossed off.
Well, were we supposed to be putting more on there?
Your worship, you did.
You guys are so efficient.
Clearly need more action.
Yeah. Well, we have the notices of motion and.
You're getting bored, I can throw a few out there.
All right, just I need a motion to accept the action list, please, as presented. Councillor Fraser, all in favor of that motion? And that's carried, thanks. So, moving on to administrative inquiries. Does anybody have any that they have today? No?
Your worship, I will comment on just a request that came from council on the weekend, and it was about newspapers being delivered to houses or flyers just being left on the porch and going away. So administration did contact the distributor of those and have requested that they put them in rubber bands or something.
Yeah, I've talked to her since then, since the email this morning.
So-
And, yeah, they're supposed to put rubber bands around them, so they've contacted their carriers to make sure that's being done.
Could they also make it easier for people to opt out of that? Because I know personally, it took me about 3 phone calls to opt out. So is there a way we can find out if people don't want those on their door, no?
I'd have to inquire with the newspaper.
Because that was one of the complaints, concerns as well, is it's hard to get a hold of them to make them stop delivering them.
Yeah, Your Worship, I think probably just a no flyers kind of poster or
Put it on your,
door, but I don't think they keep track of houses that, don't accept.
right.
I had to call them 3 or 4 times, and every kind of new season they start showing up, I got a call.
Probably because it's a new,
Carrier.
Your
Very-
child.
yeah, I know, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Is that all right? Okay. Any other admin inquiries? Okay. Any notices of motion? Okay. Okay, seeing none, it is 1:36 and I'll call a 5-minute break.